This is Life's Essential Ingredients with Jeff and Mike, where we hope to inform, inspire, and transform lives, one essential ingredient at a time. Welcome to the show. Yes, yes, and yes. Just a highlight of my day when I get to jump on and see my Pashito. It's still morning. It's 11 o'clock for us. And I just want to say good morning, Pasho. How are you today?
I'm doing great, my Pasho. Looking forward to another great show. And man, this is a great way to kick off the day, no doubt.
Oh, yeah. And I'd love to just say good morning and good afternoon to our beautiful guest today, Sivonnia DeBarros, who's going to just give us some great insight and let you guys say good morning, good afternoon to each other. Then I'll introduce our guest.
Hi, guys. Good afternoon, because I'm over here on Central Time. Hi, Mike.
Hey, Sivonnia. Good afternoon, then. How you doing?
I'm doing good, It's a pleasure to be here.
The pleasure's all ours.
That is true. And Sivonnia is out close to Wisconsin, but in the Chicago, Illinois area. It's a little bit colder there. Mike's in LA. I don't know how warm it is, but he was already rubbing it in off air. And it's probably 70 or so. Sivonnia is saying, hey, it's snowing. She doesn't even want to know how cold it is, but she is exactly where she needs to be, doing so much great work in the Midwest and all over the country. I'm going to introduce our guest again, Sivonnia DeBarros, founder of SL DeBarros Law Firm, protector of athletes, boy mom, 3-time best-selling author, business, employment, and sports entertainment lawyer, podcaster, undergraduate degree from the other USF. And I'm kind of not standing up tall enough, but Mike and I went to the real USF, University of San Francisco. Sivonnia went to the University of South Florida, where she ran track and dominated there, got her undergraduate degree, and then ran to get her master's at Everest University. Said, hey, I want to get into law, went to Cooley Law, then transferred from there to Chicago Kent College, graduated with her Juris Doctorate with the emphasis in public interest law in 2013. Shortly thereafter, founded her law firm and all kind of other stuff, which we're going to get into, because I don't want to spend the whole show just going over your resume and everything. So, Sivonnia, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Jeff. That was a beautiful introduction. Let me just say this really quick, because I totally forgot about this. When I took my master's degree program, I was still applying to law school. I got into law school and I had to start in the same year, I had to start that fall. And I finished up my master's degree the same semester that I started the first semester of law school. It was crazy.
And in getting prepared for this, that doesn't surprise me that you could juggle and just take on all that, because you and listeners, we're in for a treat. And first of all, I want to say thanks for tuning in to another Life's Essential Ingredients episode, and we appreciate people listening all over the world. Mike and I are always taken back, and we just want to say thank you so much for listening. But our guest is gonna energize us, and we're just gonna sit back and listen to how she juggles all that she does. And before that, I want to get in and ask her just a few kind of silly questions, because where she is, and if you haven't spent much time in the Midwest is very sports oriented. And so Sivonnia is in a great place. And I also spent just about 6 months in close to Chicago. So my questions for you, and you can just tell me the name, Packers versus Bears, which one are you rooting for?
Bears.
Okay, Bulls versus Bucks.
Bulls.
Cubs versus Sox.
Cubs.
And then the most important question, and the show might be over if you get this wrong. And looking at you is probably a bad question. Malnati's versus Giordano's. And please tell me you know what I'm talking about.
Yes, I do. Giordano's.
Yeah, okay. I'm a Malnati's.
Okay.
Giordano's is right up there second. And for those of you that haven't had the good fortune of going to the Midwest, to the Chicago area, it's all about pizza and deep
Yeah.
dish. So, all right, I love it. I love it. We do start out with a thought of the day, and this is a long one. So I hope I'm not going to put you to sleep. And again, in preparing for this show, I had so many great quotes that I was looking at. And then this one just really, really spoke to me with our guests. And it's not a quote, it's actually a poem. And I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I couldn't figure out where do I stop because I just kept seeing you in this. And so I'm just going to let it rip. And then I want to get your thoughts on it. You may shoot me with your words. You may cut me with your eyes. You may kill me with your hatefulness, but still like air, I'll rise. Does my sexiness upset you? Does it come as a surprise that I dance like I've got diamonds at the meeting of my thighs? Out of the huts of history's shame, I rise. Up from a past that's rooted in pain, I rise. I'm a black ocean, leaping and wide, welling and swelling, I bear in the tide. Leaving behind nights of terror and fear, I rise. Into a daybreaks that's wondrously clear, I rise. Bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave, I am the dream and the hope of the slave, I rise. What are your thoughts?
I'm trying to keep from like getting too emotional. I know it's Maya Angelou. I had the fortune to see her in person as a student athlete at USF. But listening to those words and thinking about the context that we're in now, it's Black History Month here. We've just seen a perfect storm with global pandemic and the push and the notifications and the demands for justice and respect. But it also just signifies the strength of a Black woman that I feel like so many people have been afraid of for so long. If you look at any type of success or what we would deem to be success in this country and in this world, there's been a Black woman at the forefront of it. Although she has been silenced and pushed in the background, degraded, shamed, disrespected, we are the biggest supporters and the people who truly push others to do and be their best. But that poem really, the reason why it's moving me, like making me emotional, is I lost someone so special to me early November of last year. And this person is my grandmother. And your show is Life's Essential Ingredients. But she taught me the importance of finding who I am and being a giver, no matter what happens, but just keep giving, keep being authentic, keep putting myself in positions that, although they may not feel comfortable, it's the uncomfortableness that's gonna help me to achieve the level I need to achieve, and not the success part, but the purpose part, right? So we always forget that the things that we go through, it may not feel good to us in that moment, but it's designing us to fulfill the gift that has been placed deep inside of us so that we can move forward in our purpose to then help somebody else. So that's my thoughts on that.
Man, well, I have goosebumps. I had goosebumps reading that. I've never read that out loud. Again, in preparing for you, I don't know you, but I know you, and I see you, and I'm getting emotional, and obviously that wasn't the intent of this at all, but that's what I love is this life, man. We're living and just feeling it and taking this one day that we have and spending this hour together and being better people for it and helping our listeners. And so, yeah, that comes from me to you. in seeing who you are and the greatness that you have inside. And I wrote some just underline, some of the words that really spoke to me, gifts that my ancestors gave. It was just powerful to me. A black ocean leaping and wide and then wondrously clear. And then obviously just I rise in knowing what you're doing. And this is where it's going to be fun, I think, throughout this show. And that's probably not the best word to use, but knowing that you're trying to get into this sports kind of tough nut to crack with what you're doing. I again wanted you to hear that and just to have so much encouragement of you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. And I know you're already having tremendous success and you're doing so many other things, but it's going to keep coming for you. And Mike and I are two big fans and excited to get in and to have you share with everybody else all that you're doing. So just thank you so much for all that.
Thank you. And I feel so blessed that you could read a poem. Oh, Lord, I'm trying. That you could read a poem from the great Maya Angelou and see me in that. That is just a huge honor, because what it says to me is the work that I'm doing. It's divine, that I'm following exactly what it is that I need to do. Because I never thought people would put Sivonnia DeBarros in the same line of Maya Angelou.
Yeah, no. And that is, and I don't, I'm a nurse is what I do. And I've been a nurse for 28 years and been surrounded by death. So I try and go get it every time when we can, because we just don't know when our time is up. But I see someone that matches just characteristics of someone. I was so disappointed. She died the same age as my mom, 86. Definitely one of my heroes, Maya Angelou, of just the words, the person that she was. And just Mike and I being from San Francisco going to school. I don't know if you knew this fact about her, but she was the first Black woman to operate one of the street trolley cars there, which was crazy in itself. You need to look up that fact on her. She was 16 years old and she lied saying that she was 18 to get in there. She just saw something that she wanted and said, I'm not going to be denied. And again, that's what I see in you, and you rising, and rising. So, hey, let's get down, because everything's going to come out. But just speaking of rising, do you sleep?
Nowadays, with the 3-year-old toddler, I feel like no. I told my husband a long time ago, he said, but you get 8 hours of sleep. I said, look, studies say that women need at least 10 hours of sleep. Now, I didn't lie to you when I told you that I needed to sleep at least 9 to 10 hours. But when I saw that study, I was like, yes, somebody gets it.
So is that true? Are you getting 9 or 10 hours?
I'm not. I think on average, I probably get 7 to 8.
Okay. Yeah. That's good. Let's get into, because you got so much. Just give a quick, if you can, recap of kind of the things that you have going on. And then I would love the kind of intent of this question is, people, everybody's busy and has stuff going on, but I think the genius of hopefully this show and this segment is to have someone amazing like you that's doing so much that can highlight, hey, here's some things, the essential things that allow me to do all these things and kind of be in slow motion, because you're just doing so much so well that it comes, not, I don't want to use the word easy, but yeah, you've got your routine down. So give the listeners a highlight of what's going on, and then how the heck do you do all that?
Ooh, all right. So as Jeff said in his introduction, I run and founded my firm, S.L. DeBarros Law Firm. So that's really the biggest baby of all of what I do. And in 2020, I launched my podcast, What Are You Sporting About?, which is inspired by my book that became a bestseller on Amazon, What Are You Sporting About? So I have that going on. In 2019, I launched my children's book series, JoJo Learns About JoJo's Legal Adventures, excuse me. And that is inspired by my son. So what prompted me to write this series is, as a lawyer, I wanted to educate my baby about his legal rights. And I was finding a ton of math and science books, and then just general holiday stuff, ABCs and whatnot, but could not find anything that was just succinct on just one legal concept. And then I started to realize an issue that the Black community has when we're talking about legal rights, right? Most African Americans don't recognize what their rights are until they're put in a position to have to know what their rights are. And so that was a way that I've been able to carve out some books for some children of color, really, to just understand what small legal concepts mean in the context of their own little lives. So we have JoJo Learns About Credibility that launched in 2019. And this past November, I launched the second book, JoJo Learns About Voting. So that's to get kids excited and in the process of understanding about what voting means and that their voice actually matters. And I'm also working on another book that I hope to have launched this summer called Name, Image, Likeness, Have Your Say, SAE, and it's the Student Athlete Entrepreneur's Game Plan. So I'm super excited about that because this book has allowed me to create a framework for student athletes to not only have some personal development, but to use those skills to translate into entrepreneurism. Because let's just be honest, me as a student athlete, I still worked and was a student and was an athlete. And so having that entrepreneurial type characteristic is going to be paramount to success, regardless of what that student athlete does post college, right? And so this framework is being used for workshops and signature speeches to help them easily migrate into a different type of field entrepreneurism that they didn't know they were really already a part of. And so got that, and then some other stuff coming up, signature talks, and it's a lot. And how do I maintain all of this? Well, one thing that I harp on a lot, especially with my athlete clients, is creating a team. You can't do it all by yourself. And I was just saying that I need to, it's probably about time for me to break JoJo's Legal Adventures out into a separate business, because I need someone that's just only dedicated to JJLA. I don't have the time to manhandle everything, but having a team, and we know how essential it is. As an athlete, you know that regardless of what sport you played, it took the entire team coming together to make the whole thing work, right? You can be on a ship, be the sailor and steer the ship, but if you don't have the other men in the background making sure that the boiler is working properly and electricity is right, or whatever, the ship may sink. So that's really the basic concept of business. No matter what it is that you try to do, no matter what brand you try to do, there's going to be a time where the initial thoughts that you have about your business, those should be developing and growing. And if they're not, you may not be doing the right thing. So as you develop and as you grow, you need to expand what your team is and make sure you have people who are there, capable and educated and able to help you to keep moving that brand forward.
Man.
Wow. Yeah.
Yep.
I just kind of caught my breath after all the things that you do, and that you actually get some sleep, and you have a 3-year-old. It's absolutely incredible. I have no idea how you do it, but I love what you're doing. And my question is there anyone in your past that kind of helped motivate you to go in this direction where you're always on the move? You got, I'm going to say, about 10 million things in the hopper coming up right now. Is there anything, any person, any coach, any influence, and what did they teach you to keep you motivated like this?
I'm going to tell you this. One, I think part of it is natural to me because my mom is the exact same way. I can never understand why she was always so busy doing this, doing that. Like, even to Today, my mom is the mayor of our little city back home and the dean of students at a middle school down in Gainesville. And my nieces and nephews are always over to her house. So how she juggles all of that, I have no idea, but I feel like I just instinctively have gotten a lot of that from her. But my mom gave me the essential ingredient of education. So she was very young when she married my biological dad and had me, and essentially a teen mom. But growing up with her, I knew that education was key. You couldn't go and play any sport or go outside or activities or whatever, go to somebody's house and your work wasn't done. I actually remember one summer, oh God, I can't remember what grade I was in, but I forgot long division. That summer, I completely forgot how to do long division. My mom was like, no, not gonna happen. So the next summer, we had to read a book for an hour. We had to work on, she had like these old high school or college algebra books at home. We had to do assignments in that. Oh my God, it was so boring, but yeah, my mom definitely gave that one to me. My grandmother, oh God, I miss her so much. My grandmother is like another mom to me. I actually lived with her, I think from 8th grade up through college. And my grandmother really taught me about humility, having empathy, and she actually did teach me finance, the importance of not, you know, some people say be independent, but how, right? So the importance of what is money really about? What does a credit score mean? How do you balance budgets? You know, she was very, very critical of that. And I definitely, I thank them both, because a lot of people, you're born with one mom, but I was blessed to have two.
Man, well, that's you said so much right there, and be so nice when you get to listen to this episode. Hopefully, you can do so with your mom, because you just said some incredible words, and yeah, make me think about my mom, who's not here, but yeah, blessed to have had her in my life. But I want to get into, you said a couple things that really jumped out to me that you took from your mom and from your grandma, and it's really the ingredients of how you do what you do. And then my question is, one of the titles that you have is protector of athletes. And it kind of is starting to make sense of now to me of, I was like, why does Sivonnia see herself this way? And just in just this short time of listening, now I'm getting it. So what is protector of athletes all about, and what does that mean?
Well, for as long as I can remember, I have had this stigma on my back from my family as being bossy. So something I got in trouble with a lot growing up, didn't realize that it was actually a great characteristic to have. So now I'm, redeveloping that. But I've always had this knack for protecting other people, loving them enough to give them things that I really couldn't afford myself. And I'm not talking about something physical or money, but just always giving and protecting and educating. And when I moved into the space of saying I wanted to protect athletes, it didn't come to fruition right off top. This was back in 2014, and I was shut down. And in 2017 is when I had my son. And this same desire was reintroduced to me, and I was praying about it. I was like, God, I don't know. Like, I love being a lawyer, but the people I'm serving, this isn't working for my purpose, and it was reintroduced to me. And that's when I knew that no matter what, I had to move forward without fear. I had to tell myself that you don't have fear. You have to go and do this. And so when I say that I'm a protector of athletes, it's because, number one, I'm going to educate you the same way I've educated all of my other clients. It's hard for me to just do something and not tell you why I'm doing it, because you also need to understand what the process is and why things are happening the way that they're happening. But two, I'm going to get on you. In high school and college, I was pretty much considered the mom of the team. Not that I tried to, but you know, it's just naturally that's what happened as the eldest of four. I think I've always embodied leadership type skills and have never been afraid to just tell people what it is and how it is, you know, and what you need to do. Not trying to judge anyone, but I think that's a characteristic that has helped me to retain clients, have people come back to me, have people refer folks to me, because you don't have to guess about who Sivonnia is. I want to protect you, but I also know that there are things that I have to share with you, you have to share with me in regards to, you know, being educated so that we both can help protect what it is that you're trying to build.
Man. Well, just hearing you're the eldest of four, that's my wife as well. And I would say you two have similar personalities. And one of the nicknames of many that I have for my wife is the truth. And
love it.
And yeah, and I do love it too, because so often she tells me things that I just don't want to hear, but that I know are true. And when you can get feedback like that, it is invaluable. And just knowing that that's the feedback that you're giving to your clients, invaluable. And if I'm somebody shopping around looking for a lawyer who will give me great insight, protect me, but also give me that honest feedback and tell me the things that I don't want to hear, that's priceless. And so definitely make sure you go to prosportlawyer.com, sldebarros.com, to get her on your team. And I didn't even speak to that because I got overwhelmed when you were just talking about your mom and your grandma. But I love how you're so team oriented and representing all these different aspects of your life. But I do want to get in to another part of this, which is so interesting to me, is the title of your book, one of your books. What are you sporting about? Because I've heard you use that word purpose a bunch. And yeah, the title is it. You got to, what does she really mean? Unfortunately, I did not have time, but I will get your book. I haven't had time to read it. But tell me about how you selected the title. Then just give us a quick little rundown on what's been going on with the book and everything else.
Man, when I started writing well, first off, I was scared to write the book. And I didn't know what the title would be, but I just knew I wanted to speak to athletes, and specifically athletes in business. And I prayed about it. I said, oh my gosh. I mean, you should have seen me writing. It was like, I was so nervous, and I'm in the room by myself, but I'm nervous writing the book, right? So towards the tail end of 2019, I had stopped because I was psyching myself out. It's funny how we will talk ourselves out of doing something that's actually great, and it's not even on the market. No one has critiqued it yet, but we are psyching ourselves out to tell us that all these things are going to go wrong, right? Mm-hmm. And that's why my mantra for 2020, no fear, was so important, because that drove me into 2020 with the goal of finishing it. And I finished it in March. Still didn't have the title. I said, I need to know what is the title for this book. I prayed about it. And What Are You Sporting About was born. I was like, okay, I like it, because no matter what sport you're in, and this is kind of how it went through the process that I went through for the title. No matter whether you are a student athlete, a current professional, or a former professional, what was all of that stuff for? You know what I'm saying? Like, we go through life doing so many different things only to get to a certain place later. And then we look back on it and we're like, damn, I done wasted all this time. So then the question is, what was that for? Because if none of that during point A to point Z helped you to get closer to whatever goals that you had and fulfilling the purpose that you have, then you have wasted your time because you've lost sight of exactly what it is that you were destined to be doing. And so that question, what are you sporting about? Yes, it's about purpose, but it's actually deeper than that, because no matter if you have the ability to be put on a platform that a lot of people dream of, which we know is very, very small, we have to guard ourselves from being taken off into these freaking detours that's not going to do anything for us and set us up for failure, because what's in the detour are all the people that are going to create a deficiency. So that's something that I have is in terms of a signature talk that I learned from my grandmother. When my grandmother passed, one of my aunts was telling me about my other grandmother, who always told her that having a void was better than a deficit. And I understood the conversation at that time, but when my grandmother passed, then I realized the significance of that conversation and on a deeper level, because my grandmother provided a deposit to me. And so that created a formula for life, right? So we always worried about what we don't have, which is the void. But then we go and we allow all these things to come in and consume our lives, and it gives us deficits. And we never think about what are the ingredients, right, that we can use to deposit back into our life, no matter what that variable may be. And so a lot of athletes are looking at the glitz and the glamour of what the sports, the pro level sports is going to give them, and losing sight of what is this, how is this going to work in my purpose? How is this going to take me to the next level? How do I make this work for the purposes of the purpose, and not just using me up and then tossing me away later? And so when I wrote the book, I built it up from you initially as a dreamer, going through that phase to now, victimization, because we got a lot of athletes out there who have allowed other people to take advantage of them, but then also tackling what is it about your past and what is it about you as the person that continuously show up day in and day out, reliving the exact same things that have happened to you before. So before you can even reach success, before you can build on the purpose that was only put into you, because no one else possesses that, you have to figure out, what am I sporting about? What is it about me that's allowing these things to keep coming in and disrupting and depleting and making deficiencies in my life, right? Because then when we tackle that, now we can truly say and figure out what our purpose is, what our gifts are that's going to help us to truly live in that purpose and go out into the world to bless other people to then act and live in their purpose.
Pastor has something to say, but I just got one word to say: amen. Right there, you got me hyped, Pastor.
Yeah, no, I was thinking the same thing. It seems like you're covering a subject that a lot of athletes need help with, and there's a bigger purpose than you just playing a sport. There's something else out there, and we always talk about, we learned a lot of our life skills through athletics, and I think you hit the nail on the head. How are you going to use that for what's next? This is a vehicle to get you to some point. What happens then? And wow, yeah, if I'm a professional athlete, and you never know, I might get back into it now, man, you might be the first phone call.
Thank you, guys.
That is very deep, and in listening to that, one, it's just amazing, and so glad that you're out there for athletes and just anybody. I mean, it's obviously you have that target, but your work is universal, and kind of like C4. It's Life's Essential Ingredients is part of this nonprofit that Mike and I run called C4 Leaders, which is based upon communication, chemistry, consistency, and creativity. And we work with sports teams, businesses, individuals, groups, whatever, because the principles are universal, which is what yours are. But I think some of the challenges that I face personally, and then I face when working with other people, is how decisions are made. And just in listening to you, it sounds amazing, but do you have any insight? I'm just going to ask you personally, how do you make a decision around, say, a business opportunity or to take a client on? Do you have a process that you go through to evaluate that opportunity?
I do. Starting out, I didn't. I'm another history fact about me. I'm a first generation lawyer in my family, first lawyer to own a law business. And so a lot of this stuff I've had to learn over time, and then just learning from other professionals, and sometimes not even professionals who are lawyers, but people who have great processes. So one thing that I implemented previously was having a quick questionnaire on my website for people to put in certain qualifying information. And recently I went back and edited that for the law firm, because now the level that I'm working at, I need to ensure that, one, you can afford my services and you're not going to waste my time. And two, that you're coming within a bucket of a legal issue that I'm comfortable handling. So sometimes people will say, okay, well, this is a civil litigation attorney, thinking, okay, I'm going to take your civil battery case. I'm not doing a battery case unless you can show me that it's worth $100,000, which is, probably slim to none. I'm not taking something like that. And so I would say, for individuals who have a business, go and you can create a form with anything. You can do a Google form. There is, I've seen people use Survey Monkey. So there's different little things that you can do and have these, and figure out what are the parameters that you want people to meet that will basically qualify them as a perfect or an ideal client for you. So that's something that I've learned, and that I'm transitioning and reworking as I go, because this is one thing I love about owning my own business. I can change it as much as I need to, so that it benefits not just me, but the clients who come in. So keep working it, keep changing it until it actually works for you and do what it is that you need it to do.
It's been fun just, again, researching you and seeing from afar how you have evolved as a lawyer, in the direction that you're going, and the sports focus, and the deep work. And I should move on, but I'm going to put you on the spot. You answered the question about decision making, but because this is just one of those things,
Okay.
and in hearing you get to the root and you get deep in everything. But I want to know, how does Sivonnia make a decision just personally? Because in listening to your work that you're doing with the athletes and what you wrote about in your book, this is just stuff that I think normally isn't kind of talked about, is how do you make a decision personally? And I know that's like a crazy broad question, but can you make sense of it?
And I'm sorry because I didn't answer that. How I make, so now personally, in terms of, I guess, maybe collaborating or working with another brand or business, I have to figure out, does it align with my purpose and my goals for my businesses? Two, what is the time frame that this is going to take? Because if it's going to take me away from the work that I'm doing already, the cost of that may be detrimental to what I'm already building. And then two, what are the other people looking for from me? Is this a situation where I'm going to be the one just throwing everything in and getting nothing in return? That's another deficit moment. And you have to be cautious of stuff like that, because I've been in those situations before, and I'm not going to tell people to go out there in business and think that everything is going to be rosy and creamy, because it's not. You're going to get in some bad deals. You're going to make bad decisions. You're going to agree to do certain things and do it for free, put in a ton of time in for free. And you will learn that that's not the right thing for you. So personally, I also need to have a relationship with the person. So you said like chemistry. I want to have a good chemistry with the person who I'm going to have whatever collaboration or business relationship with. Because if we're getting along, then I know that a lot of the work is not just going to fall on me. We will come together and work together and create something magnificent. So, and then two, will it impact my family life? Because if I'm putting my stuff on the back burner and I'm working hours on end trying to do something that I've said I'm going to do for your business, is that causing an issue at home for me where I can't spend the time that I want with my husband or my son? That's a big no-no for me. So that's kind of how I make a decision personally.
I love that. And thank you so much for sharing. And that was, I think, a difficult question, because I think so many times life happens and we're moving and we're just going and, oh yeah, here comes this up. But we don't necessarily think about what does that look like. And I love your last statement is, what's the impact on my family? Does it work with everything that we have going on? And that's, I'm sure, something that you'll be sharing with your athletes, of how do you make decisions and what values drive those decisions. So then when you make that decision, you can be all in and stand by and say, all right, hey, let's go to work. Because that's what athletes know. They know how to get in, stay focused, put in an honest day's work, and then get the job done. But having the right decision to do that is huge. So thank you so much for sharing that.
Jeff, let me add this really quick for athletes, though, if they're finding themselves trying to make decisions, because I talk about this a bit in What Are You Sporting About, the book. Are you making a decision for yourself or for somebody else? So if it's because somebody else has invested time in you and you feel like you owe somebody something, may not be the right decision for you. If you're just trying to, save face and be dedicated to something that at this point is dead and gone now, it may not be the right decision for you. Time to move on.
Yeah, no, that's good. And in a crazy way, you're younger than my Pasho and myself. And I don't know if you saw the movie The Internship. It's with Vince Vaughn and God, I go blank on his name. Owen Wilson. But you got to check it out. It's funny. And they're trying to get an internship with Google, and they're older, like my Pasho and I, trying to go in with all these young whippersnaps and do their thing. But I'm going to put you on the spot again because we have a little bit of fun. I'm going to play this clip. It's from The Internship. The highlight of it is they're in a little library. They're like face to face, and then they're getting ready for the interview to get accepted into the internship. And so my question to you before I play this clip is, has there been a time in your life where you got tossed around in this blender? You're like, what the heck is going on? And then you realize, wait a second, it finally stopped, and you know what? I'm stronger and I'm better for it, and this is what I learned. So hopefully you get a laugh at this. My Pasho and I always laugh at it, but we're a little bit goofy and a little bit off. But here we go. Internship.
Let's get
No
weird.
judgment, shoot.
You're shrunken down to the size of nickels and dropped to the bottom of a blender. What do?
You take her flat on your back like
You
this.
just lay back,
Lay
enjoy
stiff
that
as a board,
breeze.
light as a feather,
Pretend it's a fan.
And let those bad
this
blades
one-
whip all around you like this. It's like getting an MRI.
Once this blender's on, it's on forever.
It's on.
Respectfully, I got to disagree. We sold blenders, and even the best model in the world is only going to run maybe 10 or 11 hours. So we're getting out, and when we do, we're better off for it, because whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
It's not so much getting out of the blender, it's what happens next. That's the question.
You've got 2 nickel-sized men free in the world. Think of the possibilities.
I mean, on top of my head, and I'm just
My
spitballing
head's
here.
swimming.
Sunglass repair? We'd be hell on those little screws.
Or maybe stick us in those submarines that they put in people's bodies to fight diseases.
Okay, that's not a real thing, the submarines.
No.
Wait a minute. I thought we were stuck in a blender. Now we're saving lives? What?
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 Let me just recap this for you real quick. We started off in a blender.
Yeah.
Now we're saving lives. What?
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 Wait a minute. We were stuck in a blender,
What a journey.
and now we're saving lives?
You
What?
guys led us to this. Thank you.
I'm sorry. Mike and I are a little bit off. But can you make heads or tails?
I love it. And I haven't seen the movie yet.
Oh, you got to
But
check it out. Yeah.
to answer your question, what I get out of that is trials and tribulations that we all face. So life in itself is the blender, right? And we're put into this, we kind of know what we want to do with our lives, and we go through this whole rigmarole with different levels that, elementary, middle school, high school, college. And sometimes we're taking other people's ideas of what it is that we should be doing. And sometimes that keep us on track, sometimes that take us off track. So we're just like all tossed up, right? But there's a point, kind of like when I explained to you guys about me wanting to represent athletes and feeling like I was just, shut down. That was my blender moment, because I still went through years of representing different people that technically wasn't serving my purpose. But when you go through the blender and the tribulations, I'm not going to say it's over, but it's died down a bit. Now, when you said we're saving lives, that in itself gives you clarity, because you've been through all of that. Now you know better. People always say hindsight is 20/20. Now you know without a doubt that what was happening in the blender was not for me, or wasn't completely adding up to what it was I was supposed to do. So now that I've exited that moment and that season or that space and time, I have more clarity to now put one foot in front of the other and start to either work on what I think it is that I want to do next, or what comes next, or just accomplish it, finish it.
Deep. I knew we would go a little bit deep with this thing of preparing, but yeah, very, very deep. This could take us even deeper, or it could not. But you're walking into a party, and you got to introduce yourself to someone you don't know, and you use music to tell your story. What song? And the only thing you can do is just play this song, and that's like your introduction of, hey, this is who I am. This song represents me. What song would you pick, and why?
Gosh, oh my God, it's on the tip of my tongue, and I can't even think of.
Just sing it. It will come out.
No, I can't. Oh God, I can't. The melody even freaking escapes me. But I'll go with the second one. So my husband loves this song, but since I can't think of the freaking lyrics of the other one, nobody greater than you. So that song is, I think that's the song I would use, because I have a spiritual foundation. I don't, approach my clients or potential clients with, oh, God said you need to do this, blah, 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 blah. But I know that it is a foundation that I have, and having a spiritual relationship is something that I can frequently come back to for support and for guidance and for motivation and uplifting. And regardless of what you believe in, there is always a power that's higher and greater than what it is, than what you are and what this world can give you. And when you know that you're operating in a gift that's so divine and so intricately woven to you, just you are in a sense kind of working within a power, right? And a lot of people don't know how to tap into their power. Like, this is something that I've been learning. This is something that I've been getting used to. This is something that I've been affirming to myself. And one of the things I say every day is, I am powerful. Like, I do this with my son. Now he knows, he says the affirmations. I was surprised when he just bust out singing, I am powerful. So nobody greater, for me, there's nobody greater than God. And if I know that the power he has already put that power in me, and what I possess, I already need. Everything I have, I already need. I need that. I have whatever it is that will help me to go out into the world to do what it is that I am supposed to do. I don't need anything extra. All I need is what I already possess, because he has given me the power to do that thing. And so nobody greater would be the song for me.
Yeah, I just want to add, with all the things you do, how wonderful you are, how eloquent you put everything. It's just not fair that you can also sing. Coming from someone who can't sing a lick, ask anyone in my family. Wow, thank you. Appreciate you got it all. Thank you.
Yeah, you definitely don't want me singing. Although I did think about putting on a little Johnny Gill, but we better not. We better not go there. We want people to listen in, but definitely appreciate the spirituality and the presence of God in your life, and how you. I'm sure that's reflected in all that you do, and yeah, I get that you don't put that out and say, hey, it's God's the one doing all this, but he's standing right there with you and guiding you on your way. And I love how you answered that question. And
Thank you, guys.
You have the affirmations, with your son who's 3, to get his mindset right, and then knowing you, because it's one thing to have these affirmations and to slowly start to build some confidence, and then to be able to take that affirmation and say, all right, you know what, today is about taking that and then taking action towards making that affirmation and affirming it. And so, yeah, I just get hyped because your son is in the presence of greatness, and all that you're doing is just going to help him carry your legacy. And that's going to be my next question, but I think you want to say something.
Yeah, my mom told me a few weeks ago when I put a notification out about Name, Image, and Likeness, the book coming out. And she said, boy, you just gonna make it hard for my grandson, huh? There's no excuses in your house. I said, there is no excuses. There's no excuses, because the way that he's growing up, it's much different from how I grew up. Like, I waited to have a child because I wanted to be able to give him all of what he needed and maybe some of what he wanted without struggling and having to pick and choose what I was gonna purchase, for him or for his life here at the house, or just essential things. So yeah, I'm big on legacy, and this takes me back to my grandmother, because there's a whole bunch that's going on. I don't want to pull the wool off of anybody's head. There's a lot that I'm still working on. As long as I live, I will always work to evolve and be a better human, a better mom, a better woman, better professional, better lawyer, because we need good people in the world, right? But my grandmother was always she always thought about her legacy. She always talked about her estate. She always talked about the things that she wanted to give her grandchildren. And I was kind of up there because she was a mom to me, but I didn't realize, I knew she had a will, and it's a whole bunch of drama that's going on with that. But when she died, I didn't know that she had a policy that named her grandchildren, an insurance policy, and people don't think about what will happen post-death. Some people are afraid to think about it, but this is one of the reasons why I don't get 10 hours of sleep every night, because I don't want to leave this earth and I haven't created something. A lot of African Americans are in a position where their grandparents didn't leave anything, right? Why are we still being the first? Why are we still starting over? It's because we're not thinking long-term. We're not setting a plan and working backwards from that and creating assets. Like JoJo Legal Adventures, my son can do anything with that. It don't have to make money right now, but the fact that it's out there is an asset, right? It's something that he can take later and develop in workshops and speaking and whatever. I don't even know what he will be at this age. I don't know what his aspirations will be 10 years from now yet, but creating a legacy is so important, and it's sad that a lot of people don't take it seriously and don't think about different ways to create assets, like my grandmother, the insurance policies, having a will, or having a trust in place to protect your estate. It's just, like I said, I can't sleep because I want to make sure that not just my child is taken care of, but also my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren. My mom quoted scripture when we were talking about my grandmother when she passed, and she said, I know your grandmother took care of you guys, talking about grandchildren. She said, because your grandmother always knew that a wise man will provide for his great-grandchildren.
I've said it a whole bunch, but deep, and this could end up being like a 10-hour show, and I know you got to go, and there's so many things that I would like to say, and I feel like I got to at least speak to it a little bit. But you're blessed from the actions that you've taken. You're blessed from the environment that you grew up in. You're blessed from just the hard work and dedication and all that you are. And then you question, you wish everybody, grandparents before could have left more of a legacy. And I don't want this to come out wrong, but yeah, I just feel like life has never been simple, and it's easy for me to say, being a white male, and there's so many reasons why they didn't leave anything, because it wasn't created with equal. I mean, I'm getting a little bit choked up here, but yeah, it's just, and I sure hope somehow, and this isn't a political show, and I normally don't talk about this stuff a whole bunch, but I sure hope our country can get it right, and we can slowly start to take steps to heal and to create equality, where everybody can have their dream and have it right out there, where they can go take action to make it happen, and not have to have all the same challenges that our country has had historically. Enough is enough. And again, one of the reasons for this show is to get all people the opportunity to come on here and highlight the essential ingredients that they have, that they've been blessed with, and then want to share. And I can't thank you enough. We're not done yet, because we got to get your husband in there a little bit, but I can't thank you enough for...
You don't want this fool on the podcast. I'm just saying.
we need you, but come on, Mike and I are married, and so you've been talking about all these great things. You talk about team and everything, and I know your husband's doing all kind of work behind the scenes, but we got to give him some love, throw out his name, and yeah.
You know what? I do have to show some love to my crazy, funny, wild husband, Untitled DeBarros. We call him George. George is a sports fanatic. Okay, I call him the person who will always coach you from behind the TV, but has never played a game in his life of anything. But he's the kind of husband, when I was in law school, we were living in this small apartment in Chicago, and I was so exhausted because I was doing a lot of stuff in law school too. And this particular time frame, I was clerking for the state attorney's office in Chicago, Cook County State Attorney's Office. And I had to get up super early because I had to go walk to the bus stop, catch the bus, and take almost like a 40-minute ride to the courthouse where I had to report. And that morning, he knew how exhausted I was. And when I walked into the bathroom, he had put toothpaste on my toothbrush. I mean, he couldn't literally like stand there and brush my teeth, and we weren't married at the time. We weren't. And I said, man, some people don't take the time to just think about the little things. And no matter how little it was still so huge to me, because it saved me the time for just picking up the tube, squishing it on my toothbrush. And he cared about and supported me so much about what I was doing as a law student, even at that time, and the sacrifices that I was making, getting up that early to go and do something that wasn't paying me. Me coming there, getting the college education, the law school education, that was my pay. So I just have to give a huge shout out to my husband for always having my back, supporting me with anything that I want to do. I wish he had a cool name for me like you have for your wife, Jeff, because he calls me the supervisor, because I'm constantly telling him what to do. He's like, okay, supervisor. Okay, that's what we're going to do today, supervisor.
Oh man, how long you been married?
So this year, now that we're in 2021, August will be 8 years, but to date, 7 years.
Nice.
Yeah, and we've been together 11 years total.
Well, congratulations on all the amazing things that you have going on in your life. I can't thank you enough for coming on. And I don't even know how long we've been on, but it felt like 10 minutes, and just so awesome getting to know you. Thank you for sharing your gift, and that's our definition of creativity for C4 stuff. It's overcoming fear to be willing to share your gift. And I love so much of what you said. Unfortunately, my mind just goes to C4 stuff of you saying that you have everything inside you already. And it's just about getting in that space. And from Mike and I and C4 leaders and Life's Essential Ingredients, thank you so much for coming on the show. I know Mike's going to say goodbye, and I'm going to let you give everybody where they can find you and all the other last kind of little shout out. But thank you so much for coming on the show. Pachito.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I just, man, I can't thank you enough for dropping all that knowledge on us. I feel without a question, I'm a better person from hearing all that. So thank you for that. And one question I have is, can we call you the supervisor also? That's a great nickname.
Don't try me. You guys are so funny. First off, thank you guys so much for having me on here. I always just want to show up and be authentic, exactly who I am and who I was called to be, whatever that may look like and whatever my assignment may be in a particular person's life. I always pray that whatever platform I do have the opportunity to step on, or whatever room God puts my name in before I even get there physically, that He's already created the assignment and the tools that I need to help make that make those things come into fruition. Because I want to operate at the most optimal level I can, but I also want to make sure that I'm doing it authentically and inspiring other people to follow their dreams and their goals. I do want to leave you guys with this, because Jeff said about the fear in the C4. Like I want to remind you, when I moved into 2020, I had to move with no fear, and that allowed me to be successful with What Are You Sporting About, which turned into a best-selling book and inspired the podcast. And you see the power of what purpose can do for you. But when my grandmother passed, I was operating in a cloud. I couldn't even work for November and December. I would sit at my computer and not understand what I was looking at and what I was doing. Part of my affirmations say, everything I need, I already possess, because God has given me fearless opportunities. So it doesn't matter what it is that you want to do. If you tell yourself enough that you are not afraid and you already possess everything that you need to be great, you will be great at it. Keep saying it, because the more you say it, the more your words will connect with your heart, and your heart will connect with your mind, and you will actually start to move a different way that people didn't expect for you to move. But also be prepared that other people are not going to support you, because people are also afraid of power, okay? And so when you're operating within a power, it's so strong that it's going to knock people who don't have your best interests at heart away from you, or people who have ulterior motives, who are trying to creep in to now do what we call creating deficits that may take you off your path. So you have to have discernment about that. But I just want to encourage you guys and all of your listeners to find your purpose, find your center, find what it is that moves you every day, where if you could do it for free, you will start tomorrow, right? Because then that is the thing that you need to be operating in. You guys can connect with me. I'm actually going to create a link to my website for you guys. So slodebarros.com/C4, and give me like probably till tomorrow, but I'm going to put some freebies on there for you guys. And then all of my other links, just so it's easy for people to go to one location. But follow me on social media for my law firm at SL DeBarros Law. So that's Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. For What Are You Sporting About, I'm only on Instagram and Facebook, and that's What Are You Sporting About, at What Are You Sporting About. If you want to sign up for blogs, you can do that on my website. You can do that at prosportlawyer.com, which is the website that houses the What Are You Sporting About brand. And definitely be on the lookout for the new book that's coming out, Name, Image, and Likeness, Have Your Say, SAE. And if you want to order the What Are You Sporting About book, you can also order that at at prosportlawyer.com.
Woo. Thank you. Listeners, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Life's Essential Ingredients. And we got some good ones with this one, and we thank you so much. Again, everybody, we got listeners in Russia, in France, in Japan, all over the world, all over the U.S. I got to give a shout out real quick to Coach T in Fishers, Indiana, who's hasn't missed an episode. We call him the microwave. We got you, Coach, and thank you so much, everybody. Please reach out to me at Jeff@C4Leaders if you know an amazing guest. If you want to be a guest on the show, reach out to us, and thank you so much, and enjoy your day. Pashito, get us out of here.
Thank you, everyone, and look forward to the next one. Have a good day.